Ahoy there! Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another beginner's guide to EVE Echoes. This time around I wanted to do a follow-up to my mining video. Lots of people seem to enjoy that and I got a lot of follow-up questions. Now before we proceed, I do just want to address one of the comments that I seem to get quite a lot on that video, which was, why on earth would you start mining in something like a MAGNATE? Now ultimately the reason for starting in a MAGNATE was simple for me. The MAGNATE and the two mining lasers cost a grand total of 500,000 ISK. That's really not much in the grand scheme of things. Now something like a Venture, which is this gorgeous dedicated mining ship that you can see on screen now that I've upgraded to, this thing costs about 5 million ISK on the market at the moment. That's a significant investment if you're not sure that mining is something that you want to get into. Now it does come with a load of bonuses. The Venture, it is a fantastic ship for mining. In fact, if I pull up the details now, I will show you what I mean here. So we will go through to fitting and have a look at the Venture itself. Now straight off here you can see I've got two mining lasers on it, only a Mk5 miner and a civilian miner, simply because the power output's a little bit low at the moment, just because I don't have the skills quite set up ready for it. But the actual ship itself, if I tap over it, has some really cool abilities. First things first, this ship you can see here, it has an ore hold. Now that ore hold is absolutely massive, 10,000 meters cubed. That is a humongous amount of ores that you can cram into this one tiny ship, so you don't have to keep going from asteroid belt back to station. I can actually fill this up 10 times as much as I can the MAGNATE, and if you watched that video you'll remember I actually said that the MAGNATE had a surprisingly large hold, but this I can stay out in space 10 times longer. It also has bonuses to your mining yield. I get an additional 100% on mining, so that 475 plagiar clays collected, it's probably actually closer to 200 if you haven't got proper skills for it. This ship also is, it's a frigate-sized ship, has a decent amount of agility and mobility to it, which means you can actually get in and out of situations fairly quickly. If it turns out that I come under attack, it's very quick and easy for me to quickly lock onto something else and jet out of the way, which makes it great for dealing with lower security situations. Now here you can see that I'm just locking onto different asteroids, orbiting these different asteroids, and just keeping up with the mining. Now ultimately, yes, as I said, the Venture is 100% a great starting ship for going into mining. If you are certain that mining is something you do want to go into, then definitely have a look at the Venture. If we open the market here, I can show you. Open up the market, go into ship. You'll find these under industrial ships. You can then come down here and you see all of these different bits here: Expedition Frigates, Venture, Venture 2 and Venture 3. Now as it currently stands in the area where I'm sailing at the moment and mining, as I said, the average Venture costs you about 5 million ISK. That's actually gone down, mine was 5,400,000, but hey, there we go. Venture 2s are sometimes on the market. Let's see if there are any here. Oh crikey, they've really dropped in price to 5,500,000. They were like 8 million yesterday. And the Venture 3, let's check and see if anyone's selling those. Yes, for 15 million. Crikey. If we have a look at these details, I can show you here. As I said, the Venture, it's a tech level 4 ship, so you do have to have upgraded to tech level 4. Gives you 100% miner yield. The warp stability means you can't be locked in place if someone's got like webifiers and things like that to hold you down. You get an additional 20% mining yield from the mining bonus, 10% light drone damage, and if you're skilling up industrial ship operation, you get minus 5% to the duration of the miner. And that means that whereas if it takes say 20 seconds to mine before, it's 5% less to do the mining, and plus 10% to light drone hit points. It's a great little starting ship for mining, definitely a great way to get you going. As things continue, you may want to go up to a Venture 2. As you can see, a Venture 2, you get bigger bonuses here. Plus 150% on that miner yield is a really, really nice one. And 15% for the light drone hit points. And then the Venture 3, the big daddy of them all, 200% miner yield. With an additional 20% to the light drone hit points. And a whopping 67 megawatts of space in that one. And again, the ore hold capacity, 30,000 meters squared. With a Venture 2, you are not going to be coming away from mining anytime soon. Now you can also look at things like the mining barges. The thumbnail for my last video actually had a procurer as its role. These are tech level 9, which are very hard to get to. And they do allow things like strip mining, and again, these have some absolutely massive ore holds at about 50,000, but again, that's something we'll cover in a future video. What I wanted to go over here was kind of the next step. You've started mining, you've decided that you like mining. I would start to look for a Venture 1 or a Venture 2, depending on the costs in your particular area. I'm actually a little sour that the Venture 2 has become so cheap, but there we are. I was working towards getting a second venture. Going for a Venture 2 is not a bad idea now, I don't think. And certainly it's also worth talking about skills at this point in time as well. I'm just checking that this particular asteroid is still going, and how many ores I've got. Crikey, look at that. Nearly 12,000 scordite. Feels good. That's going to sell for a pretty penny in a bit. Now, we touched on skills in the previous video, and I just kind of want to go over the next step for mining. Now, you can see here I'm under the mining preference, so that I've got most of these all up and close. Now, mining itself, of course, is one you want to get up to maximum level. You can see here, skill effects, miner yield plus 10%, it gets up and up and up and increases. By the end, once you hit level 5, you're getting an additional 50% mining yield, 25% optimal range, and 10% lower activation cost on using your lasers. That is great and incredibly useful. It's fairly obvious that that's useful. That's why I'm training mine up at the moment. You can see it actually at the bottom of the screen. In 4.5 hours, that will be at mining level 4 for me. Second one I would now recommend you start doing if you're looking to get into mining and really making a profit, and I'll cover this more later in this video, is common ore reprocessing. Now, you can just sell the Veldspar, the plagioclase, and the scordite, or you can actually break those down into minerals which sell at a higher amount. That's called reprocessing, and 100% that is something you want to be doing, so I would strongly recommend getting that up to a decent level and working on it as well. This is actually in my queue. I've got number 4 and 5 in the queue currently. Now, finally, the ones I would really talk about is industrial ship operation. This is one you're going to want to start working on. It's not required at this point in time, but starting to work on industrial ship operation is a very useful skill. Simply because as you start moving into lower security environments, as you can see here, if I go back into this one, sorry, you'll see that what this ultimately does is give you an inertia modifier and an industrial ship velocity. That means you can get in and out of situations far quicker. Pirates come out of the nearby gas cloud and decide that they want to wreck you and steal all your stuff. You can quickly align to a new destination and warp the heck out of there. Now, of course, as I said, this is indeed a mining frigate, which means if we come out of skills here and go into skill preferences for generic, we can look, and there is one other skill that I am going to talk about here, which is, of course, frigate command and frigate engineering. These are very, very useful skills, and I'm just trying to find them on the list now. Of course, I can never find these things when I want to talk about them quickly. Here we are, frigate command. Now, being a frigate inertia modifier and frigate velocity is, of course, something that you're going to be looking at there. Well, I don't think these particularly apply straight through, but things like your frigate engineering should apply. Just need to find that on here. Ultimately, that is one, if you can find it. Frigate engineering will give you additional tech, essentially. Not tech, sorry. Additional capacitor. I do just want to double check here. I've got that around here somewhere. I think there may be an industrial ship one as well, but you can up that. Industrial ship engineering, there we are. Industrial ship capacitor, capacity, and industrial ship power grid output. I'm actually going to purchase those ones now. Bam, let's get that and start on training those. That is a tech level 6 required, but it does increase the amount of capacitor that you can have on your tech ship. So scrap all I just said about frigates. I was trying to show you how it works with frigates, which I've been using up until this point in time. But now that I'm using an industrial ship, yes, you do need to have industrial engineering, industrial frigate engineering, and that one will up that instead. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sit here and just keep going until this particular asteroid is completed, and I'm then going to show you what you can do with your ores. So, stand by, let's jump back to station once all this is done, and I'll see you there. Well, here we are docked back at Mk5's DED assembly plant station. This is just where I prefer to do most of my selling and trading. It seems to be a decent enough market without being so convoluted and sort of cramped as it is in places like, say, Jita. Of course, whichever station you want to dock at and do this is entirely up to you. Now, what I'm going to go over now is ultimately the details of reprocessing and actually selling your materials. Now, I've already kind of looked at the skills that we need for reprocessing, but just as a quick reminder, come to skills, look for the mining preference, go to more skills, and on this list here, we should have common ore reprocessing. Now, common ore is all we need at the moment because it's looking at things like Veldspar, plagioclase, and scordite, which are the three things you're going to be mining the most at this stage. You can obviously look at things like the uncommon ore reprocessing, but quite frankly, you're not going to be finding much in the way of umber, kernate, dark ochre, that kind of thing at this point in time. You can look into trading into it. It is going to be something you need eventually, but you definitely need at least the basics of common ore reprocessing. This just will give you the ability to actually start reprocessing those materials, and the higher you train this, the more output you'll get from doing this. Right, so with that all in place, of course, the other thing we're going to need is, of course, the ability to trade. This means going across to generic, confirm, wait for this to load, and then go to more skills, and we are looking for simply trade. You should have this skill already, but it gives you here, as you can see, the option to place market orders. Now, the more of these you have, the more levels you have in trade, the more stuff you can actually be selling. Don't worry about contracts and corporation contracts, we will cover those some other time. It's the market orders that matter. The +5 is the maximum. The more you can sell, the more money you can make, so having that leveled up is a good thing to do. I'm just working on other things at the moment. So let's close all of this down and actually get into reprocessing. Now, in order to reprocess your ores, of course, you need to find them, so open up your inventory. Now, if you're in a venture, it's going to be in the ore hold, otherwise it'll just be in the ship's hold. But find your particular ore. So here I've got 6,100 Veldspar, 24,000 Scordite, and 9,500 Plagioclase. We'll start with the Veldspar. If you tap on it, you can see here how much each unit takes up. The reprocessing requirements are 100 units. This means if I've got, say, 6,101, I'm going to have one Veldspar ore left over, and you can see the actual output here of tritanium is 415. You just literally tap, reprocess, boom. That will now put into my item hanger a whole load of tritanium. Yeah, I've got a ton of stuff down here, but there we are. My tritanium is now sitting, well, I've got two whopping great big stacks. So let us see if I can multi-select those and stack them. There we are, 18,005 tritanium. That is a quite large amount. Now, you can see here, I've got Veldspar at 86 and Plagioclase at 44. I can't do anything with those because of the amount you require. As it said, you need 100 Veldspar to reprocess. Here for Scordite, again, I'm going to get tritanium and pyrite. And it comes in units of 100, so you see I've got 24.22 in my item hanger. I do have more Scordite, but that 24.22 plus whatever I've got in here is not going to be enough to up it, so we are just going to literally go Scordite, reprocess, confirm, and we'll do the same then with Plagioclase, reprocess, confirm. Now, if I go to my item hanger and scroll past all the chunk that I've collected, you can now see there I managed to get another whopping amount of tritanium here. Again, let's stack all of these together. I just like having things in nice simple stacks. Same with the pyrite. Stack all. There we are. And the Mexalon. Stack all. And I've still got a bit of Veldspar, Scordite, and that. Now, the reason I'm holding on to 1,000 Veldspar here, in case you're wondering, is because I'm looking for a particular contract, that an encounter, where you have to deliver 1,000 Veldspar ore. So I'm just holding that one ready. Okay, so now with the tritanium, the pyrite, and the Mexalon, isogen, etc., all of that here in my item hanger, of course, I want to sell these. So the best thing to do is if we tap on this, we can then go to View Market Details, and it'll have a look in your local market and see what other people are selling these at. Now, 10 is actually quite low. He's put a decent amount of that on sale, but I don't want to go lower than 10. I'm happy to match that buying price of 10, so I'm going to go sell, and I'm going to go sell at 10 units. There we are, 10 ISK per unit, sell. That'll now be on the market. at 10 ISK per unit, so someone can buy as much or as little of that stack as they like. Now I'm going to do the same with pyrite. Pyrite, view market details and see how much this is selling for. Now a single pyrite ore is going for 30. 30 I am again quite happy with as an amount. I'm actually willing to undercut that a little bit just to be annoying. I'm going to put that in at 29 and we're going to sell that. Finally, we have a look at the Mixelon. I'm going to hold on to the Esogen for now. Let's have a look at Mixelon. That is selling at 99, which is a really annoying amount. Let's take ours down to 95. Let's see if that sells. You know what, let's have a look at the Isogen as well, view market details. This thing is currently selling for 300. Now just to see if we can get a quick buy on this one, I'm going to sell mine super cheap. I'm going to sell mine at only 200. Because I'm in a good mood today and I just want to give someone some Isogen. There we are, so that is now there. Again, we can look at Veldspar, view market details. You can either hold on to this for reprocessing later, or you can sell it. That's actually a ridiculously high price for Veldspar, considering how much the materials sell for, but it's not overly terrible. I'm going to hold on to what I've got here for now. Stack those together for neatness. I'm going to hold on to what I've got here for now, and I will work on having those up. At 86, it means if I come back with, say, 124 or 114, I'm going to be able to make 2 stacks rather than just the 1. But there we are, that is how you sell on the market. If you're, again, I've seen some people having issues with this in the comments and messaging me before, just make sure you've got the correct skills. Now, if it turns out that actually stuff on the market just flat out isn't selling for you, you feel like you've put it up too much, or you just want to get it back, you've put it up at a wrong price, come here to the market, go to My Orders on the right-hand side, and you can see everything you're selling there. Now, this Rifter, I can't imagine that's going to sell anytime soon, so I'm just going to take that off the market, and we'll have a look at how that sells. And I will have a look at another point to go over the costs and selling that one on. Anyway, guys, I'm about to jump back out into space and continue mining. I'll see if any of those stacks sell. Certainly, obviously, the economy is still finding its footing in Eve Echoes at the moment. It's a completely player-driven economy, so the more of a particular material that is on the market, the lower the price is going to be. So, prices are fluctuating quite wildly. As I said, I'm really quite astonished that Venture 2 is selling so low at the moment. Crikey, I'm really quite bitter that I paid 5 million for mine just yesterday, my Venture 1, when a Venture 2 is now selling for like 5.5 million. That's ridiculously low in comparison. I mean, you can see here, yeah, there we are. Like the 9 and the 12s are what I was looking at yesterday, so I thought, screw it, I'll just go with the Venture 1 for the time being. If you're interested and you understand what's going on in regards to industry, actually making Ventures isn't that expensive. They're really quite simple to make. They're going to cost you a lot less than 5 million to make if you're making it from scratch, just out the parts. And they seem to be a decent enough way to make money at the moment. A lot of people are selling these directly. I think actually there's a guy here in the messages who is trying to sell these for about, I think, 2 million he was looking at. Where are we? Scroll back up. I've lost it. It was in a different bit, but there was a guy who was looking for selling Ventures at different prices, and I think when you DM him, he's only looking for 2 million. So there are people. I saw someone else on the Eve Echoes subreddit selling Ventures with a special Reddit user discount, so worth checking out. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I am going to jump back into space now and just continue some mining. I'll be back with some more videos for you all soon. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.